We've helped multiple companies land small business clients worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue using our local business magnet. And in this video, I want to show you the exact insights on how we're doing this so that you can just copy us and put this workflow inside of your business to start closing clients immediately. And make sure you stick around till the end of the video because I'll quite literally give away all of our lead generation scripts and techniques so that you can just copy us. Let's get right into it. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, pretty much here is how you scrape unlimited local business leads. I don't waste any of your time. Let's get right into it. So before actually applying this method of scraping these unlimited local business leads, I was actually manually doing this for our clients. So pretty much what we'd do is we'd go open up Google Maps, like we'd use a VPN essentially, and we'd go to we'd put the location for, let's say, Toronto, or let's say New York City, and put like plumbers, New York City, and that we would manually do it, right? Because the problem we had with all these other databases, like Apollo, was you have to think like a local business owner. They're not going to be on LinkedIn. Like the local plumber down the street is not going to be on LinkedIn. So we had to manually essentially do this entire process because at the time there was no other way of actually scraping these leads. It just was not plausible to scrape these leads. So we were manually doing it, but using a lot of time and manual effort and labor where it should have been optimized. Or we would sometimes use Apollo when going very broad, like let's say all plumbers in the US, and that would work, but it wasn't, like I said, it just wasn't the most optimal way of doing it, because if we only wanted to target specific companies in specific cities, like only plumbers in New York City or only plumbers in New Jersey or only plumbers in Dallas, it wasn't really the best. Honestly, it was not really the best. So we were manually doing it. We were wasting a lot of time for our clients and ourselves, having a VA do it, and it just was not the best, right? Then another thing I want to add on is that, again, very time consuming, but the leads were also ran through. So what I mean is, um, if it's on Apollo or on these databases, everybody's emailed them about SEO. Everybody's emailed them about Facebook because they're already on LinkedIn. Some of them are, and they've been essentially emailed and pitched multiple times, right? So the data is very public. Anybody can use it. Think of it like, let's say, think of it like Angie or Home Advisor, right? So if you don't know what Angie or Home Advisor does, is they'll sell roofing companies and bathtub repair and all these like home service companies leads or people, but what they'll do is these leads are people that they sell to roofers, or that they sell to hot tub repair, that they sell to, construction people, are for everybody. Like they give it to multiple different companies at the same time. So imagine I came up to you and I said, hey, you can take this lead. But then I also go to 5 other business owners and like, hey, you can also take this lead. You can also take this lead. It's not yes, you can get the leads that way, but it's not exclusive leads. It's not private to you, right? So pretty much that's the issue we ran into doing it manually, as well as using a database like Apollo. Now, what we figured out was what I like to call the local business lead printing machine. And what the local business lead printing machine allowed us to do is allowed us to scrape thousands of leads in quite literally a few minutes. And it had everything I needed, even in niche ones. So whether I was targeting roofers, plumbers, HVAC, catering, hot tub repair, landscaping, in any city, it didn't matter, any zip code, I was able to scrape and pull a lead list of. And I was able to do this and booked hundreds of calls essentially on autopilot for ourselves and for our clients. So this local business lead scrape lead printing machine essentially allowed us to do all of this stuff, and it really only took a few minutes. It literally only took a few minutes, and it had niche subcategories I could target, as well as any city and any zip code, and we were able to book hundreds of calls. And let me show you exactly how it works. So step number 1 is what I like to call the SMB's growth compass. So essentially, the first step I want you to know to actually doing this and getting all these local business leads is you have to think like a small business, right? Would they want a phone call or a Zoom call? And the answer to that is you have to think like a business owner. Would they want a phone call or a Zoom call? Or you might be asking yourself, okay, like, would it be worth to send to info at or contact at emails, right? And what I'll tell you is that these small business owners, they heavily prefer a phone call over a Zoom call. Unless they're a fully like established company, very rare that you'll find that they'll do a Zoom call. Even if they are a fully established company and you're contacting the owner, that owner has probably went through years of just having phone calls and calling leads or whatever it may be. So they'll even then they might even prefer a phone call. But essentially think like them. As with any marketing, you have to think like your ideal customers and what they are and what they do and where they live, right? So they would prefer a phone call over a Zoom. Second thing is for these small businesses, the owner is going to check the info at and contact at emails. Contrary to popular belief, I know if you watch our channels in the past and I tell you, okay, don't email these info at or contact at emails, the owner will actually check these emails for you. The owner will check these emails for you, and or the owner actually checks these emails. So when you email these accounts, it's actually valid, and the owners will check it. And again, I just said this, but it's very important because with any market, you must understand who you're exactly reaching out to, right? So that's step number one. Step number two is now the precision prospecting model, right? So what you're going to do is essentially go on Outscraper and put in your ICP's characteristics. So okay, think of like, okay, who am I targeting in terms of ICP? Who are my ideal customers? For this example, we'll use roofers in Dallas, Texas. If you work with roofers, you know that this market is a very hot market. Dallas is one of the best markets for roofers, or the most competitive markets for roofers. So if you're running Google Ads SEO for them, you'll probably you've probably worked with the Dallas roofer before, right? So essentially, you're going to go on outscripper.com, and this is what it's going to look like, right? And essentially, you can take a look at this category/brands thing as like a Google search, right? So for all you doing Google Ads SEO, think of it like a Google search. Like, what keywords are my ideal customers, in this case roofers, ranking for? Oh, well, obviously they're going to be ranking for roofer. Obviously they're going to be ranking for roofing contractor. Obviously they're going to rank for roof repair. All those things, right? So think of this as like a Google search and input all of the search terms that they would be ranking for, right? So in this case, I put roofing contractor, roofer, roofing, roof repair, and all this other extra stuff here because that's what a roofer will be ranking for. And when you look up this, like let's say when you look up roof replacement in Dallas, Texas, that roofing company is going to pop up, right? And then next, what you're going to do is go down to the bottom after you've inputted that Google search and your city, and just click on emails and contact scraper. So you only want the email accounts and contact scraper, right? So you're gonna put roofer, you're gonna put whatever your ICP is, Dallas, and then you're gonna go in here and just put in email and contact scraper. So you'll get their website, you'll get their email, you'll get their number and whatnot, and you can use this data to essentially reach out to these prospects. Now you can call them again, but if you have a big market like I mentioned, roofing in Dallas, you're gonna get a bunch of leads, right? You can call them, but it's gonna be very, very manual labor, right? And what I want you to think of it is like this, in this perspective. A sales rep can only call X amount of people per day. Like a sales rep probably can only call 200 to 300 people a day, and that's might be pushing it, but you can only call a certain amount of people per day. And to scale your outbound efforts, to scale the cold calling, you have to hire more people, right? That's how it works. A sales rep is manual label, and cold calling in terms of like reps wise, in terms of if I call 200 people, I should be able to book, let's say, 5 appointments at least. In terms of like effectiveness, it does work, honestly. But to scale it, you have to hire more cold callers. You have to hire more people. You have to onboard them. You have to train them. Then you have to show them how it all works, and then you have to wait for it to ramp up, right? Or you can do that with all these leads. Or what you can do is you can use cold email, which is very cheap to scale, and it can be fully automated to reach out to thousands of leads per day. So pretty much to run a whole entire cold email sequence and campaign, it costs you $400 or $500 a month. $400 or $500 a month, and once you optimize it, you should be able to book more calls, and there's no manual labor. There's no manual labor. Everything is basically automated, and all you have to do is reply to prospects and then book them in your calendar, right? So cold email is very cheap to scale. It's pretty much the price of one VA to reach out to these prospects and book them in your calendar. And how you're going to do this is you're going to use for cold email, you're going to use Smartly.ai. Smartly.ai is basically a sending tool that you're going to use to send out these cold emails. So essentially, you'll get the lead list from Outscraper, and then you'll plug it into SmartLead, and you'll reach out to these prospects, right? So when you get on SmartLead.ai, what you're going to do is you're going to buy 24 domains and 48, and basically 2 email accounts per domain. So if you buy 24 domains and 2 email accounts per domain, that would mean 48 email accounts. And if you do the math here, you can just follow the math. You essentially, if you buy 24 domains with 2 email accounts per domain, you're going to send out 21,000 cold emails a month, right? 21,000 cold emails a month. And let me show you what 21,000 cold emails a month can do for you. Essentially, if you send out 21,000 cold emails a month and you get a 1% reply rate, that would mean 210 replies. Out of those 210 replies, let's say 10% of those 210 replies are positive, which is honestly kind of low. It should be more. Out of those 210 replies, 10% positive, and let's say you get 21 positive responses. Out of those 21 positive responses, you book down, you get 10 calls booked, right? Just like that, essentially. So you can see here that if you fully automate this, it's super easy to send out all these cold emails and essentially book these calls because everything is fully automated, right? Now you might be wondering, like, okay, all right, well, if I'm sending 21,000, I've heard of cold email before, but if I'm sending 21,000 cold emails, what if I land in spam? What if this, like, what if like my prospects don't even read my cold email because I'm sending out so many emails? Like, what if I'm like labeled as a spammer, right? Now, it really, in terms of that, it really depends on what exactly you're sending out, the types of scripts you're doing, as well as your offer, the industry you're targeting. So it really depends for all those different factors on what you're actually looking out for. But really, just what you have to do is not sound like a robot. Don't sound automated. Keep your email short. Don't have any links or images, and you should be fine, right? But again, it really just depends on what you're essentially doing. But what I can give you is I actually made a bulletproof checklist to avoid landing in spam to book more calls. Essentially, it's a few steps to avoid landing in spam to book more calls, and it's inside my free school community, which I just launched. So click the link in the description, join my free school community, and you can get this bulletproof checklist to avoid spam, as well as some other free valuable resources that you might enjoy in there. So click the link in the description, and you'll be able to get this so that you don't land in spam. So that's essentially how you do it in terms of not landing in spam, right? So now, the last step essentially here is what I like to call the audience resonance formula. Once you have actually set up all your email accounts inside SmartLead, scraped all these leads, now you're going to write the scripts. Now you're going to send out all these cold emails, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to write scripts that speak their language and are simple enough for them to say yes to. So write scripts that your ICP, in the language that your ICP speaks, and I'm not talking about like English. Obviously, they're gonna speak English. I'm talking about like what they say in their day to day. What is their vernacular? You know, what type of words do they speak and say in their day to day? What do they call a roofing lead? How are they getting these roofing leads, right? What do they speak in their day to day, right? And make it simple for them to say yes to. So this script I use all the time for our clients, and you could see, and you can honestly just take this because this works really well. So essentially it's like, hey, name, if we could help you get offer without paying like we did for a company name, would you be interested? So for example, for a catering lead, right? If we could get you 10 to 20 wedding catering leads every month without using referrals like we did for a company name, would you be interested? And P.S., if we can't get you at least 10 in 90 days, you don't pay, right? So the reason why this works is because this resonates with their market. And excuse my bad handwriting but this resonates with their market. So what I mean is, instead of just saying, hey, name, I'll help you. Hey, John, I'll help you get more leads. You're basically saying, I'll help you get more wedding catering leads. Now you're being specific to what they do and what they offer. Instead of just saying, hey, I'll get you more leads for, as a roofer, you can say, hey, no, I'll get you 10 roof replacement leads every month. 10 roof replacement leads every month could lead to 50,000 for them, right? Or instead of saying like, hey, dental clinic or doctor, if you're talking to dental clinic, hey, if you're, hey, doctor, let's say John, we'll get you 10 dental implant leads every single month, or you don't pay. You see how that's a lot more resonant and that's more relevant to them? Because you're being super specific to what type of lead they want, who they want to work with, and how they work. So this works super well. It's like super well, right? Now, there's also another angle you could take this, which is another script I like to use, which is called Poke the Bear. Essentially, what you're going to do is create a first line that goes over their pain and and essentially pitch in your offer and how you can solve that pain. So, for example, this is for injury lawyer or PI, personal injury lawyer, right? So it's like, hey, name, how do you make sure your injury victims trust you first instead of the first lawyer they recognized, right? So instead of just saying, hey, name, hey, John, how are you? How are you making sure that your injury victims, or instead of just saying, how are you getting in front of customers? You're just saying, hey, how do you make sure that people actually trust you first instead of the first lawyer they recognize? Right? It'll make them stop and think. They'll be like, well, fuck. Like, how am I actually doing this? And then you tie in your offer to them and say, hey, we can help you solve that problem, or we can help you do this by our unique mechanism. And then all you do is mention a case study you worked with, as well as a simple call to action of like, hey, are you open to hearing more? Right? So it's pretty simple, right? For most of you, I would recommend you start with this. And once you get into more advanced stuff, you can also get into this, right? But if you can play around with both, it works really well. By the way, I have a full cold email copywriting course guide on my channel, so just go check it out. Go click on the my channel, go to videos, look up the copywriting stuff, and you'll be fine, right? So that's how you make it super relevant to the market. That's how you make a resonance, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you find this video valuable. Please press like and subscribe for more content like this. If you need help with, let's say, starting cold email, or if you need help with any questions at all and you want more cold email help and guides and whatnot, I actually have, like I said, I just launched a free school community that you can just join for free, and you can get access to that deliverability guide. I also have scripts that you can use for free that is immediately plug and play in there, so go ahead and check that out. And if you are a B2B business and you want someone to essentially reach out to local business for you and book 5 to 12 qualified calls at least every single month, for essentially all done for you, press the link in the description and you can book a time to chat with me, and we can see if we're even a good fit to help you out. Here's some results that we've gotten for some of our other clients. Renee's closing some deals. Here's Deepak closing $13,000, $20,000 deal. Here's somebody closing $5,000 to $10,000 deals, and whatever it may be. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Hope you found this video valuable, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.